Go counter. There we go. Hey guys, it's Tatas Tuesday, and yes, I am looking at the Nicki Minaj, Miley Cyrus VMAs thing. Why? Because the stuff directly to gaming this week is just depressing and usual suspects, and this is much more interesting from an actual, gender perspective and what it says about women. What? How is this possible? Well, before we go further, I want to make sure that everybody knows exactly what happened. So this article has the video, so I'm going to play it so you guys can see what happened. Okay, here we go. Nicki Minaj is accepting an award for best hip hop video. That's the setup here. So her name's just been called. She's all happy. And there's Taylor Swift. Yay, they all made up because they're adults. Here we go.
Perfect.
And that's the chick from Pitch Perfect. I forget her name now. This is going to drive me crazy. But she's cool.
And now, back to this bitch that had a lot to say about me the other day in the press. Miley, what's good?
Now, what was she referring to there? What was Nicki Minaj referring to there? She was referring to an article in the New York Times only a few days ago. You guys see this date? Okay, August 27th. Miley Cyrus, the host of the MTV Video Music Awards, did an interview just days before the Video Music Awards, got stoned. How do I know that? The article says so. See, in between freshly rolled joints, she decided to talk about the Nicki Minaj Taylor Swift Twitter thing, even though she really wasn't informed about what it was. Here we go. She claims, let's see what Miley Cyrus claims about this interview, okay? Here we go. Here's Miley's epic response to what everybody says was not scripted. And I think, based on seeing it, you saw that little moment Nicki Minaj had of, can I do this? Can I just play nice and throw to this woman who did such an ungracious thing before an award show that's supposed to be a celebration? No, I can't do it. I'm going to tell what I'm really feeling. And she went for it. So here's Miley Cyrus's response.
We're all in this industry. We all do interviews, and we all know how they manipulate. Nicki,
we're all in this industry. We all do interviews, and we all know how they manipulate. Okay, Miley, so why did you do an interview when you know you're hosting this gig stoned? When you're in less control. And for some reason, this has become about Nicki Minaj instead of Miley Cyrus's ungracious, unprofessional, I would say, comments that led to this conflict. And so here's the comments. Here's what Nicki Minaj was so pissed about. Question, what did you make of the Nicki Minaj controversy around the VMAs? She was upset Anaconda wasn't nominated for Video of the Year. I saw that. I didn't really get into it. I know there was some beef. I don't really know. There's a way to talk to people. I don't really know. You stop there, Miley. You stop there. If you don't really have an opinion, you stop there. Do you know what she said? She was saying that everyone was white and blonde that got nominated. I heard. And then Taylor Swift butted in. She may have alluded to Wrecking Ball also saying that when a naked white girl breaks a Vivo record, she gets nominated. I didn't follow it. So, okay, stop there. But then she goes on. Why? Because she was stoned. You know what I always say? Not that this is jealousy, but jealousy does the opposite of what you want it to. That's a yoga mantra. Wow. Miley Cyrus talking about a yoga mantra is about the same as Paris Hilton talking about Buddhism, but it gets better. People forget that the choices they make and how they treat people in life affect you in a really big way, as Miley Cyrus found out only a few days later. If you do things with an open heart and you come at things heard, and I would respect your statement, but I don't respect your statement because of the anger that came with it. Now, is she talking about Nicki Minaj or is she talking about the reporter? I don't know. And it's not anger like Guys, I'm frustrated about some things that are a bigger issue. You made it about you. Not to sound like a bitch, but that's like, hey, I didn't get my VMA. I guess she's talking about Nicki Minaj now. But see, people are complaining that Nicki Minaj used the word bitch. But Miley Cyrus set it up to say not to sound like a bitch. We all know that if the word comes not to sound like a bitch, if you don't want to sound like a bitch, you stop right there. She knew she was being bitchy. And then she didn't own it when she was called on it. But so far, she's winning the media war on it. The reporter tries to cut in, but she was, if you want to make it about race, there's a way you could do that, says the woman who, caused controversy through accusations of cultural appropriation when she twerked with no ass. But don't make it just about yourself. Why not? Why not? We'll get to why not. Say, this is the reason why I think it's important to be nominated. There's girls everywhere with this body type. I think she did say that. Now, I'm going to remind you that Miley Cyrus originally said, I don't know. This is what I heard. Now, I think she did say, what I read sounded very Nicki Minaj, which, if you know Nicki Minaj is not too kind. Okay, Miley, if you know that, why you talking trash days before the award show? You're likely going to be on the same stage with the woman. It's not very polite. I think there's a way you speak to people with openness and love. You don't have to start this pop star against pop star war. First of all, Nicki Minaj, yes, she's a pop star, but she's a hip hop star. And that's a very different thing for people who know hip hop. It became Nicki Minaj and Taylor in a fight, so now the story isn't even what you wanted it to be about. Now you've just given E! News catfight Taylor and Nicki go at it. Yeah, because Nicki Minaj knew Taylor Swift was going to jump in to a tweet she made not about Taylor Swift. I know you can make it seem like, oh, I just don't understand because I'm a white pop star. I know the statistics. I know what's going on in the world. But to be honest, I don't think MTV did that on purpose. What? I know the statistics. I know what's going on in the world. So she's basically saying Nicki Minaj had a point, but she doesn't like the way she said it. Miley Cyrus made the fatal error of tone policing Nicki freaking Minaj, the woman whose stage name is a reference to an oral sex act, okay, days before the Video Music Awards. And she's saying, we're all in this business. We all do interviews. But I've had people saying, oh, Nicki Minaj was rude. It was impolite. She was angry, the whole thing. And this is the core of, do you have any favorite videos of crop? I don't even know too much of what's nominated. What we have here, guys, why is this on Tatas Tuesday? Why isn't this just a celebrity fight? What's going on called The Curse of the Good Girl? The idea of Curse of the Good Girl, this is a book. I've talked about Rachel Simmons before. But girls are pressured to embrace a version of selfhood that sharply curtails their power and potential, which is why Miley Cyrus is smoking joints while doing media interviews instead of staying, sharp, so she had a better idea of what she was saying. Unerringly nice, polite, modest, and selfless, the good girl is an identity so narrowly defined that it's unachievable. This is precisely the image that Nicki Minaj is, I think, deliberately rebelling against. She is against everything. Nice? No. Polite? No. Modest? Hell no. Selfless? No. Why? Because men in her industry aren't expected to be nice, polite, modest, and selfless. Men in her area of the entertainment world are gangsta. So why shouldn't she be allowed to behave the same way? Why should she not be embraced for doing the exact same thing that guys do? That is the walking experiment that is Nicki Minaj, okay? And why? Why is this important? Okay? When girls fail to live up to these empty expectations, experiencing conflict with peers, making mistakes in the classroom or on the playing field, they become paralyzed by self-criticism, stunning the growth of vital skills and habits. Okay, so why does this matter? And I want to say, Nicki Minaj has said some exceptionally stupid things. But that's sort of the point. She has said some stupid things and she's gone on. She's a walking embodiment of it's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to rattle people's cages. And that's why I like what she's doing. I mean, do I like every song she does? I don't like every song most performers do. Even my favorite performers, there's some songs I skip on their CD. Yeah, I still buy CDs. But Nicki Minaj has a phenomenal range as an artist, and she's had some great output. And if you go back and listen to some of the collaborations she's done that are not, music video that sparks controversy fodder, she's actually a really good singer as well as a rapper. And she's got a lot of talent. But what do we care about? When she twerks. Do we understand why this woman is pissed? Yes, we do. So here's what being a good girl, these cultural norms, these be nice, and it's not very polite, it's not too kind, the stuff that, she's complaining about, what does it do? Okay, why is it bad? The poisonous impact of good girl pressure on development, okay? Here it is. Okay. Pressure from parents, teachers, coaches, media, and peers erects a psychological glass ceiling that begins to enforce its confines in girlhood and extends across the female lifespan. The curse erodes girls' ability to know, express, and manage a complete range of feelings. It expects girls to be selfless, limiting the expression of their needs. But it goes on. It requires modesty, depriving them of permission to articulate their strengths and goals. It diminishes assertive body language, quiets voices, and weakens handshakes. It touches all areas of girls' lives to adulthood, limiting their personal and professional potential. Now, this is precisely why people get so fucking pissed at feminism. Pardon my language, but I'm channeling my inner Nicki, okay? This is precisely why people get pissed at feminism, because people are like, it's not us, we're not oppressing women. No, that's not what's happening at all. Girls are trained in girlhood to deprive themselves of permission. The outside world doesn't have to do it. Women are programmed to do it to themselves. And so the message here, the most critical freedom we can win for our daughters is the liberty to not only listen to their inner voice, but to act on it. And that's exactly what Nicki Minaj did. And you saw it. If you watch the clip, you see it in her face. She's like, I cannot do this. It was what we used to call a falling down moment, right? She just, no. Back in the 70s, someone, a writer by the name of Robin Morgan, talked about an amulet of pain that's around every woman's neck. And you just have these moments in life where you rip it off, even though, I don't know if you've ever had a necklace torn off, but it cuts the back of your neck. But you have that moment of temporary self-harm to save yourself from something else. And what Nicki Minaj was saving herself from was the curse of the good girl. This idea that this entitled little brat, and Miley Cyrus acted like an entitled little brat in this interview. When you're smoking pot around an interviewer for the New York Times, and you believe that the media twists your words, you stay sober, girl. You stay clean. Okay? You roll a joint, then you're intoxicated. You are. And no matter how you feel about marijuana legally, you don't smoke dope to get mentally sharp. Okay? Like, some people say, I gotta get right. No, then you have a problem. And if Miley Cyrus can't stop doing drugs long enough to do an interview with an important publication like the New York Times, does she deserve the responsibility of hosting the MTV Video Music Awards, something that is an honor and a responsibility that she does not seem to be taking seriously? She is so lacking in authenticity. She is so caught in the curse of the good girl that if you read this whole interview, I was a face of twerking, but it doesn't matter, which is a tell when you're not owning something. What was your relationship with Robin Thicke? Like, I didn't really know him too much before, and I don't really know him now. Like, he acted like he didn't know that was going to happen. We were in rehearsals. You know exactly what was going to happen. Like, he was actually the one that approved my outfit. What? He wanted me as naked as possible. What? But then she says, it was very much a collaboration. No, honey. He decided what you were going to wear. Okay? That is not. Did you get to veto that Beetlejuice suit he wore? Because if you had the chance, you probably should have. You know? Do you still defy? I still love it. But I watch it now and I see someone that isn't me now. Barf. Barf. Like all this. I feel these moments are blackout moments. Well, maybe you were really messed up, but this is all about not owning it. Okay? This is not owning it. Like, this is insane. This is the curse of the good girl. Okay? This peace and love thing. When you're really talking trash, that's the good girl. Okay? And Nicki Minaj rebelled against the good girl. When you see I didn't really get into it. I don't really know. That's inauthentic. Those are tells when you're talking to someone. When someone clearly has an opinion, as Miley Cyrus very much does when she gets into it. And they start off by, I don't know. I didn't really see it. But here's what I think. That is a lack of authenticity linked to this idea. And more men are being put under these pressures too, of being unerringly nice, polite, modest, and selfless. Okay? Again, why is this bad? Because it's an identity so narrowly defined that it's unachievable. You turn people into artificial narcissists who are terrified of making mistakes because you want them to be good girls. Everybody has to be nice, polite, modest. Oh, it's not about me. Oh, I don't really care. Horseshit. Everybody has things they care about. I happen to care about video games. And when people screw with it, I get pissed. I happen to care about certain, professional integrity points very much. Very, very much. So I get pissed when people, like Miley Cyrus, don't take their jobs as ambassadors to the music industry seriously. I used to work in the music industry, if you guys don't know. I did the same thing I'm kind of doing for games now. I did in music. I did a show called Fromage that was kind of like zero punctuation for music videos. I produced it. I didn't host it. But this is the sort of thing that Nicki Minaj is fighting against. The problem is people like Taylor Swift, people like Miley Cyrus, they continue to reinforce these social pressures. And we start talking about the impacts on women. Okay, and when you're like, why do we still need feminism? Why do we still need, it's not about women's rights anymore. It's about women's authenticity. Now, I will issue a caveat that there are still reproductive freedom issues in the United States and around the world that are rights issues. That's obviously not what we're talking about here, right? We're talking about this concept we like to call female empowerment, but what it really is a woman's right to be authentic, a woman's right to be flawed, a woman's right, they're saying that, at the VMAs, you can see that Kim Kardashian got herself all gussied up, and she's pregnant, and she's in this stunning evening gown, and Kanye West is wearing Adidas sweatpants. Now, those sweatpants probably cost $200, but still, he leg rolled up, and it's like, Kanye, you are so not in roll in the pant leg territory anymore. Like, you were supposed to be sort of counterculture to that, and now you're doing it. Like, it's sort of this masculine posturing. I don't give a shit. You should give a shit. It's one of the top nights in the type of music that you do. There's different kinds of music. There's the music that's album driven. And then there's the music that's video driven. These songs that are created as backing tracks to essentially, candy colored short films. And I understand why Nicki Minaj is pissed that she's ghettoized to hip hop, because she is a crossover act, and that's a very, very sensitive thing. in the history of music. Black crossover acts, oh Lord, it is about race. It is about race, and anybody who says, if you want to make it about race, there's ways to do it. What do you know about it, Miley Cyrus? You've never had to live that experience, but that is the curse of the good girl. You're supposed to be nice and polite above all else, and that's different than being civil. Okay, that's different than being fair. Nice is not fair. Polite is not fair. Being fair is something totally different. Being polite is saying, oh, that's okay, when it's really not, which is all through Miley Cyrus's statements in that interview. Being fair is, no, that's not okay. And I'm going to tell you why it's not okay. And why does that matter? Because if you're just holding it in and not going, no, I have a problem with this, does it ever get solved? No, it never gets solved. You just hold it in and you go forward with this baggage. And then something else happens and you go forward with this baggage. And then something else happens and you go forward with even more baggage. And anybody who's played an RPG with an inventory weight limit knows what happens when you get over encumbered. Okay? This is the modern psyche. We're carrying too much loot. And the only way to, get ourselves down to maximum, fighting potential and movement potential so we're not fatigued unnaturally is to drop some of that weight. Psychically, of course. This has nothing to do with physical weight. To drop some of the weight you're carrying. And the only way you can do that is to stop being fucking nice. To stop being selfless, because you know what? Selfless is bullshit. Selfless is bullshit. You can't help anyone else until you yourself are in a good place, because all your attempts to help other people are going to get dragged down. If you're a hypocrite if you're telling other people how to live your lives when you yourself aren't stable. And that doesn't mean that everybody doesn't have struggles, and that doesn't mean that people don't go through bad times. But you got to start owning your shit. You got to be able to look at your own stuff and go, you know what? There's shit I need to work on. And everybody has it. It doesn't mean you announce it publicly. That's behind, because there's a difference in healthy, like, okay, I need to work on this, and being paralyzed by self-criticism. And this paralyzed by self-criticism, I see it a ton in my current field. I see it a ton in gaming. And I think a lot of this, I fear for my life stuff, is just a manifestation of self-criticism that they actually believe is harmful, because it is harming them. When 5,000 friggin' voices on the internet are telling you you're crap, and you're telling yourself you're crap, right? How do you work? The word paralyzed is chosen for a reason. And what gets me is we're focusing on these thought leaders that haven't gotten past the curse of the good girl. And do we want gaming to be about good girls? No, we don't. Gaming's never been about good girls. Gaming's been about the female warrior and the femme fatale. And this is what we've got happening. Unfortunately, we're entering a stage of female adolescence in gaming as we're coming out of the stage of male adolescence in gaming, and they're clashing. Right? We've got the curse of the good girl coming in. Well, we've got the curse of the bad boy coming out. Men are willing to talk about, being fathers and work-life balance and wanting to see their families, and they want to talk about the more sensitive emotions. And these good girls are coming in going, that's not nice. You're not nice to me. You should be polite. That's not modest, oh, look at her. She's all that. She's just jealous. And the she's just jealous. And I do it in the Valley Girl voice, because that's how I hear it. When people go after me, she's just jealous of this person, or she's only saying that because she's jealous. That's how it sounds in my mind. And the silly thing is that kind of thing, especially when you won't put your name on it, it doesn't stop me. I do not become paralyzed by self-criticism. Why? Because I've overcome giving a shit about being the good girl. This is why I started cosplaying femme fatales in the first place, to break out of that. I chose to, temporarily embody characters like Catwoman and Poison Ivy and, Ivy Valentine, or as people say, Isabella Valentine. No, she's Ivy. She's Ivy, and it's important that we call her Ivy because of her character. But I made these costumes because I wanted to get in that. I wanted to learn from these femme fatales. And now I have gaming telling me there's something wrong with these characters. Screw that. Those characters in gaming, characters like Bayonetta. Bayonetta is a classic rebellion against the good girl. She is a dark witch. She's a female anti-hero. And we don't even have Lara Croft as a true female anti-hero anymore. We've got Bayonetta and we've got a few other characters. Why? Because gaming is being gripped by the curse of the good girl, and it's not healthy. And this is why we still need feminist thought. This is why we still need, I hate even the term female empowerment. It's not female empowerment, it's female power. There's male power and there's female power, if you want to say masculine powers or feminine powers. Certain traits associated with a particular gender, and every single person has male and female or masculine feminine traits. Now, I'm not talking about transgender stuff. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about, bravery is considered a masculine trait. Bullshit. Why? Because we say so. Kindness is seen as a feminine trait. Bullshit. It's just because we say so. Every person has the potential for all these virtues within them. And the whole thing about life, the whole thing about maturing, the whole thing about growing up is finding that balance. So right now, if we look at these two women, who owns it more? Who has a greater balance? Who has shown an ability to go, okay, we had this thing and now we're cool. Nicki Minaj did that with Taylor Swift. There was a scandal and then they performed together and went like, everything's okay. And people are still trying to claim she snubbed her when she accepted her award. She probably didn't even see her. If you guys know anything about those award shows, you're so damn nervous when you go up there, you're not aware of anything around you except don't trip and fall on your face. Except for Jennifer Lawrence, she's allowed to do that. But Nicki Minaj is like, yeah, I did it, and we said it, and it's dealt with, and now Taylor Swift and I are performing, and I respect her because we had that conflict, and we settled it. And here's Miley Cyrus going, I didn't really know Robin Thicke, and I don't really know him now, and he picked my wardrobe, and oh my God, I can't believe he claims he didn't know. He seemed all surprised. He knew what was going on. It's not accountable. Robin Thicke didn't force Miley Cyrus to wear that outfit. So passing the frickin' buck on to him means she's giving other people power over her own damn image. So we don't even know who Miley Cyrus is. We've got Robin Thicke's wardrobe choices and joints. Who do you want as a role model for your child? If you had to pick between the two. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people are like, no, neither. Well, guess what? You don't necessarily have that choice because pop culture figures become role models, whether they like it or not. Okay? And between these two women, okay, do you want the woman who acts like a woman? And, Nicki Minaj's whole repeated lyric in her songs is, I'm a bad bitch, no muzzle. And she's living that. She is authentic to that. Whether you agree with it or not, she is living what she says she is. I'm a bad bitch, no muzzle. Okay? Whereas Miley Cyrus is blaming everyone else for the things she's at least a part of creating. Who's the leader? Who's the innovator? Who's the engine of their own success? Fuck that yoga shit. Fuck that yoga shit. What the hell are you talking about? She's done the twerking thing. She's done borrowing from that culture. Not that there's anything wrong with it. It just raised some eyebrows that, oh, I see. If you have an ass, then it's lewd. If you don't have an ass, then you get to do it on the MTV Awards. That's the concern. But now she's done that and determines that's not who I am anymore. And now it's yoga, which is not a white person thing either, girl. And I think a lot of people have forgot that because, the face of California yoga, California Hinduism, California Buddhism is that. And it's ignorant. And that doesn't mean people shouldn't do it. I mean, yoga's great. If you're doing it for the exercise and it helps you, that's awesome. But don't talk about yoga while you're smoking damn joints, girl. It's not authentic. So that's why this is important. That's why this matters, even though it seems frivolous. So I hope you guys learned something, and I hope you can apply it to your lives. And this goes for men too, right? Like, men more and more are expected to just sort of suck it up and not speak out. And that's where we get into these complaints that male culture is being feminized. Here's the thing, guys. Those aren't feminine virtues either. They're false. It's toxic femininity. Okay? This is classic toxic femininity. So don't do it. I know it's hard to speak up, and I know people tend to be punished for speaking up because of the Miley Cyruses in the freaking world. But you got to, because you don't want to be encumbered. Use the gaming metaphor. You don't want to be encumbered going forward. So have that fight, that goblin fight that, you may take some damage, especially if one of them has a poison weapon. You may take some damage in that fight, but you'll pick up the loot that you need instead of the stuff you're just carrying around in case you need it. Because, we all do that when we're playing RPGs early on. And then as we get comfortable with the game, we know what stuff we can stash. We know what stuff to use right away and what stuff we do have to carry around for a rainy day. Personal development is the exact same way. I should write a book on this. Get the Tao of gaming, because it's true. You can learn a lot about life from video games if you stop worrying about being a good girl.